What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? As we have promised, we decided to go out and try to get you guys some answers and an additional type of conversation with someone from Dlivrd that could at least answer some questions. I know there's not many of you here. If you're out there working, this live stream will remain up. All right. The replay will remain up. It's not going to be privatized like the other ones, but Josh will not be joining us today. All right. But I want you guys to take this time and get your questions ready because we are running on time. I have an order I have to go do very soon. Okay. So we got to get the questions in, questions out. I'm going to ask some questions as well as giving some feedback, and we're going to give our guest an opportunity to share some things regarding Dlivrd as far as like 2025, what we should be expecting or things to come that we don't know. If they wish to share, whatever they wish to share, we're going to give them the floor, give them the microphone as well. So when we say it's time for questions, don't be shy. Ask your questions because both of us are running on time. And once this is done, we're running. Okay? So with that said, fam, I want to take this time out to introduce someone that I have not known for a long time, but this person is awesome. Okay, when I say awesome, I mean it. Any issues that I may have had or anything like that and wanted to get something sorted out for another driver or something, like get on it as soon as possible. This person has been a trooper. And even now, when I called him and say, hey, drivers want to know what this is, he's like, okay, let's set it up. We got to give a major shout out to the Chief Experience Officer named Chris Barnes. What's up, brother? And this thing stopped working on me. This thing tends to happen. I don't know why this does it. Sometimes I don't know. What's up, Chris? We're good now. Yeah, we're good.
Hey, UDM, thanks for having me. What a nice intro too. I really appreciate the kind words. I always love hearing from you too. And again, before we get going, I just want to say thank you because coming on here to talk to you, it's not just to talk to you. This is a way to connect with a bunch of other people out there who might not hear what I have to say or might not read emails or whatever. And so just thank you for the platform.
Yeah, I thank you for at least, because I know it's tough to get in contact with some people sometimes, like especially when they have the support email, right? Trying to get in contact with someone from support or someone to help them with their issue at the time that they need it. It doesn't have to be within 24 hours, but at least within the same, I want to say 48, I could hear some drivers say things like, man, it's very tough to get in someone that can make some things happen at Dlivrd. And I just, again, bro, the introduction is not even an introduction because you are who you are. The same way I just said, when I called you, when I reached out to you and I said, hey, can you? And you're like, yeah, let's make it happen. And then we figured out our schedules and we made it happen. Now we're here. So with that said, fam, I'm going to ask Chris a few questions. I'm going to also share some things that I kind of prepared him for regarding the inactivity email. There's also some things that like I said, I want him to be able to share. So get your questions ready. I'm going to ask him some things, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some feedback. Being a driver that's been on this platform for years, Chris, all right, I have seen the change, right? I have seen the growth, and I got to give feedback from me to you and the Dlivrd team. I've been there. I've met the other Chris, the other CEO, right? I met the team. I can only imagine how much greater the team has grown. There's some people I don't even know that responded to emails. I'm like, okay, cool. Anyway, I got to give some feedback, and I think it should be appreciated from a driver that's been on the platform before all these new changes. Right? I love the control of preferred area, right? To be able to draw all of that in the shape that you want to draw it, and also the availability to set your availability. Like if I want to receive offers all day, just leave everything checked. If I want to receive offers during these specific times on these specific days, only check those. You know, I love that level of control. I also, this is my favorite by far, and I don't even know if anybody else can agree with me here. The dark mode. That screen was bright, brother. Okay. I appreciate the dark mode. I love the confirm 4 hours in advance, right? Versus the 1 hour, and then sometimes I miss it. I've missed it before and gotten suspended before, right? So it's like, oh man, you know, it is what it is. But I also love the release feature, right? Now, here's the one thing that I'm like, I hope they hear me out on this. The releasing of new offers. I would love to get new offers earlier. The times I get them is like 10, between 10 and 12, sometimes, you know, and later. Like it doesn't really start until later in the day. And other competitor apps, they release them a lot sooner. So sometimes I'm routing myself for my day with the other ones that I have access to at that time. And when Dlivrd hits me, I'm like, damn, this don't work. Damn, that don't work. Damn, that don't work. It's like, oh man, come on, Dlivrd, send me something. It's not about the ordered amount. Because I just recently, I think yesterday, I received a offer for 100 plus. And I could not take it because it just did not route. But would I have taken it and route myself around that order? I would have if I had gotten it earlier. Now, maybe I wouldn't have gotten it earlier if because of the time that it was placed, right? I don't know. But let's just say based on the average amount of deliveries or offers that I receive, I get them between 10 and later, like 10 and later. I don't really get the early morning ones earlier in the day. And the only ones I get that are like that are like the same day situations, right? So if I could get same day or next day, early on in the day, that would help me a lot. And I know other drivers have said it, but I'm kind of speaking for myself right now, right? And seeing all of the changes, they're positive changes. I don't have another app that can give me the amount of control that you guys give us at this moment. I know there are other competitors that, you know, they have their pros and cons, right? But the amount of control to receive offers, to this, to that, and to do all, where I want to get offers from and all that, Dlivrd is at the top at the moment, right? I'm just giving you honest feedback from a person that's been on the platform for a while. So with all that said, I hope you wrote that stuff down and take it back to the team.
Yeah. I mean, I got a couple things just really quick. So first off, like, I mean,
Yeah.
I am a dark mode man myself. Like when I see the app, that's not it. I'm like, I'm blind. And it's funny as you're going through the compliments because in so many of them, I'm like, yeah, I like that too, but we got to go even further. So you like the preferred area? Yeah, I like it too. But you live in South Florida.
Yeah.
Like there shouldn't be a Fort Lauderdale market compared to a Miami market. Like it should just be one area, you know. And so like
Yeah.
we need to go even further. The availability, that's cool, but like the groupings are pretty large. So like we still could do better to like take it even further. And what's really funny about the order assignment, I think you make a really good argument about sending them earlier. I also sometimes hear arguments about sending them later. And the reason for later is the more orders that we have, the better we could do in matching. Like sometimes the driver's like, well, how come my friend got that order and I got this one? Well, that other order came in later and you were already on this one. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's good feedback. I think it's something we got to review, but it's funny. You can make arguments on either way about this one.
Of course, yeah. So I didn't want to interrupt. That's all you had?
That's it. Those are all my
Okay.
notes.
Okay, all right. That's because I know we're running on time here, right?
Sure.
And I just wanted to just put this this comment up really quick. John Mitchell says, I have received an offer as late as 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm. That is relatively new. We have a
Okay.
relatively new feature in the app called late night orders or overnight orders, something like that. Our system used to not send orders between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. just to like respect people's boundaries.
Yeah.
But you can turn it on now to say that you're available for orders during that time. And where
Hmm.
that is like a good thing for people who are okay with getting text that late, sometimes really good orders come in at 2 in the morning. We don't control that. Or especially with the release order, UDM, you might have a really good order, and for whatever reason, you release it at 1 a.m. Now, instead of it just sitting there until 7, somebody can kind of scoop it up earlier. So that's
Yeah.
just one caveat. Like, yeah, we do send orders in the middle of the night if you turn that on in your settings.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So without further ado, I only have 4 questions. All right. Now, I don't know if anyone in the chat, if you have the same type of question, but I'm going to ask my 4 questions. And if I answered your question or he answered your question, you don't have to ask it again. Right. So just get your questions ready. But I'm letting you know in advance, Chris, I only got 4. Okay. So as of recently, there's been an issue with the inactivity emails that's been sent out, right? As far as an issue, when I say issue, I really mean like the clarification needed for a driver to understand. Wait, how did I get this? Why did I get this? Right? So there's 2 things. The email that one driver received was this, saying that your account could be at risk for deactivation. To keep your account active and ensure you're eligible for future offers, we kindly ask that you accept at least one order within the next 15 days. It doesn't say decline, right? It just says accept. But also on the fact section of the website, it says accept or decline to remain active. So it's a bit of trying to figure out what do you guys mean, because it's kind of like almost like it contradicts. So right now, at this moment, I want to pass the mic back to you and kind of give us a little bit of an understanding for clarification purposes. Hey, what do you guys mean by staying active?
So, I mean, there's a couple pieces on that because, like, in looking at that FAQ, that was also talking about orders timing out and not sending you any for the rest of the day. But the big
Mm-hmm.
question is, like, what is our expectation? We certainly are looking for drivers to accept and complete at least one order every 60 days. Now, that is something that periodically we will go through our profiles. My dog's scratching. One second, I'm trying to get through this.
You're
Periodically,
fine.
we're going to go through our driver profiles and bulk deactivate what we consider to be inactive profiles. Inactive meaning no orders completed over the last 60 days, so accepted and completed. We do this. I don't know if you want me to answer why we do it, but right now it is essentially a manual action. There's nothing automated. It's not like you hit this and it's automatic that your account is turned off, but it's something that we review and do for efficiency and accuracy. But it's 60 days is what we are looking at. And it
So
is like with regard to being active on the profile, it is accepting and completing a delivery.
So that FAQ section, is it focused more on the not being timed out?
Yeah, if you want to pull it back up, because it kind of, I'll
Yeah,
be honest,
sure.
I don't know. Was that
I'll
the
pull it back.
FAQ from the driver portal? Yeah, okay. So I think here it's saying like a couple of things. Do I have to accept a certain amount of deliveries to stay active? So in there it says if you don't respond to 3 offers in a day, we'll assume you're unavailable. So in this regard, we're saying, hey, we don't care if you accept it or decline it, but if we don't hear from you on 3 offers for the day, the assumption is that you're not around today, and we don't want to waste your time sending you more offers. This totally could be written better. But what this is saying is then additionally, if you are inactive for 60 days, meaning no orders accepted or completed, your account may be frozen.
Okay, but do you understand where all of it being in one paragraph is like, wait, well, what does this mean? You know, you know what I mean?
Totally.
All right, so cool. All right, now that's out of the way, right? I also have just 3 more questions here, and these other 3 questions we should be able to get through these quick. All right, so how does mileage pay work? Some orders have mileage and others don't. And I have an example of this here, just in case a driver may be wanting to know what am I talking about exactly. So this one says Easy Cater, right? And this is the payout for it, right? But it has mileage pay. But to put it back up on the screen, it has 12 miles. Like, how does that work? What determines mileage pay?
Hmm. Um, I want to make sure that I like say the right settings right, but because it's different per different client. EasyCater is obviously our largest client, so that's sort of like the baseline is like looking at EasyCater orders. Mileage pay kicks in beginning at 9 miles. I think 9 to 15 miles is $1 per mile rounded up. So in this case, like but looking at the screen, 9 to 10 was 1 mile, 10 to 11 was another. Well, nine miles was $1, 10 miles was $2, 11 miles is $3, and this 12 miles is the fourth dollar. So that's why this one is four. And then once the order hits 15 miles, it starts kicking in an additional $2 per mile. So if this were 15 miles, it would have been 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then the 15th would have been $2.
Okay. All right.
Um, Now that can be different based on different clients. Like we have other like some clients that uh, might be different, like more or less. It kind of comes down to like our contract with them. I'd say in particular, like anything touching New York City is almost always going to be different because New York City, 2 miles is like the equivalent of 20 miles somewhere else. But at least for Easy Cater, like our Easy Cater orders, that's how the breakdown is.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. All right. Now I will put this up on the screen really quick. I recently received an order, as you see, December 24th, the day before Christmas. It was an Olo, right? And I'm like, wait, you guys do Olo? When I came up to Philly, right, I was able to see that it is a partner, but I never received any here. It was only Easy Cater. So my question is, should drivers expect more different types of catering orders outside of Easy Cater?
So yes, like absolutely. Like our biggest goal is getting orders anywhere we can. So looking at this case, Olo is essentially our integration partner. So we have like catering. I'm sorry, Texas de Brazil is a partner of Dlivrds. They use Olo to manage their catering, and we have an integration with Olo, and so that's how the order like ended up to us. Almost in looking at this, I'm almost wondering like do we tell you all too much? Only because it's like, what do you care if it comes from Olo? Is it confusing? But my point being is in this case, Olo is the integration that we use to connect us with Texas de Brazil. Now,
Mm,
also in that Olo like partnership, basically any restaurant in the world could send delivered an order if they choose us. But we specifically have a relationship with Texas de Brazil, and they use Olo to send us the order.
okay. All right. And the very last question I have here is, what's to come in 2025?
Um,
What should drivers
Yeah,
expect in
this
2025?
well, so if you don't mind, like I don't know if I'm stupid for wanting to do this, but I do want to go back to the inactivity for a moment because I kind of like
Sure.
like we said, like that FAQ could be clear, but I think the other question is like why would we even do this? Like why do we care? To like freeze an account. And the main thing I just want to say is that we really do try to do that to protect the drivers that are really active on the platform. Like kind of like the anecdote I was going to say was that if our data says that an area needs 10 drivers and one of the 10 is on the platform but never takes any orders, we have no choice but to bring on an 11th or bring on a 12th. And the more that we do that, the more we water down the opportunities for the people that are really here. So I guess like the part that I wanted to say is like it's just math. Like we're not trying to go after anybody. We're not trying to attack anybody. If you are somebody who for whatever reason was caught up in an activity, reach out to us if you have like an intent, because for all I know you were sick, you had this happen, you had that happen. Like we're not trying to we're open to hearing what's up. I can't guarantee that everybody would come back, but like I think like common sense would apply. If you've been on the platform and you never did an order at any point over those first 2 months, yeah, we're probably gonna say, hey, we appreciate your interest, but we have other drivers on the platform. But if you are somebody who had a good record and for whatever reason hasn't been active, like we're definitely open to reactivating your account. So I just want to kind of just throw it out there that like it's really just math. It's really just kind of like, we're like running some numbers, but we're all humans. And like, you're definitely like, please reach out. And if you did have any questions, it's drive at delivered.io. And you can reach out there and, get helped out. So I guess that was it. I just want to say that as far as the inactivity.
I got you. I got you. So to make sure I type it in the chat correctly is drive at delivered.io, right? This is support.
Yeah, we don't make it too easy, but it's drive at delivered.io.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat for him. All right. So make sure you guys either copy it, screenshot it, something just to make sure you have it in case you never had it. I do know that a driver recently reached out to me and the email for support, I think it said help or something like that. Help at deliver.io. And yeah,
We've got a few, and that would end up routing that would be fine too. But this drive one that goes to the team that's like reviewing and helping with driver accounts. That's just the quickest email to go to.
the drive one or the help.
The drive one.
Got you. Got you. All right. So at this time, I'm going to put some questions. I don't mean to count, but like I said, we're running on time here, right? We've been going for about 23 minutes at this time, and I really want to give you, Chris, some time to tell us what's to come on Delivered for 2025 and all the above, right? So I'm only going to do a certain amount of questions. All right. If there's plenty more going in here, I'll make the decision to put it up on the screen if it's a great question or not. All right. But meanwhile, let's get these questions rolling. So Adam Gwynn asks, so what if you literally don't have an offer sent for 60 days? How can I be considered inactive?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I mean, like, there's certain markets that are going to be a lot slower, or maybe there was something about your profile that would necessitate that. I'd say, like, in general, this if you didn't have an offer for 60 days, like you were caught up on this, I'm sure. But reach out to us if this were the case, so at least like we can look at your profile. Because why didn't you get orders for 60 days? Is it a case where for whatever reason, maybe we had too many drivers in the area, we don't really have like the opportunities for you? Or was there something within your profile that maybe we could check? UDM, you started the call by saying that you like the preferred area, you like the preferred availability. But unfortunately, I've seen people that have mistakenly not used it properly. Maybe accidentally drew a zone in the middle of the ocean, or like accidentally set themselves unavailable.
Okay.
So it could be things like that.
Right.
But again, like nothing's perfect, and so that's why I would say if that was what happened to you, reach out so that we could take a look.
All right. Awesome. All right. So John Mitchell says the FAQ currently states by the verbiage in place that some drivers are wrongfully being frozen. And do you think that is fair? And do you feel they should be unfrozen due to this technicality?
Well, I'd say anybody who was frozen recently did get the email that stated the kind of like where they were currently at and the next steps. And again, like I'm totally like welcome to have anybody reach out, but the idea that we're going to not freeze accounts that are on the platform for a long period, that's not good for anybody. Like that's bad for the general pool, because again, that forces us at a part where we can't trust our metrics. We can't really like, because again, what is my goal? And I'm not full of S when I say this, UDM. I
Mm-hmm.
want as few drivers as possible on my platform to still have kick-ass metrics. And the reason I
Yeah.
say few, I know that can be a negative number. The fewest I have where I can still put up good metrics is the more money every like per person is making. And I personally say like I want to say as like I got kind of big balls, and that I like to not over bring on drivers into a market. Like it's really important to me not to be oversaturated. But because of that, we do have to sometimes use common sense. Like if you're on the platform for 2 months, and again, maybe you did get a bunch of orders from us and you didn't like them, well then that means that maybe this relationship isn't the right fit for us.
Yeah.
I do apologize that FAQ is confusing. I think we can tighten it up, but I do stand behind doing periodic kind of purges of inactive partners.
All right. So, with that said, right, I've also seen a few a few comments in the chat here where some drivers are saying that they got the email, some saying that they never got the email. Like, uh, could that be a bit of an error with sending it out? Is it automated or is it manual? What do you
It
think?
is automated, and I would say, like, if you didn't get that email, like, potentially you didn't get other emails from us, so that would be something where I don't know if it's caught up in a spam or somehow, sometimes people end up unsubscribing, and so, again, I hate to keep
Oh,
kinda having the same answer, like, if you wanna reach out to us, we could look into it, but
yeah.
certainly it's automated email. I hate to put it like this, and again, this is why I'm, like, thankful to be on a platform like this. I get told all the time that people didn't get an email that like, we sent out, and it's
You
so
know
hard
what?
to know why, and I know people hate when the answer is, "Well, did you check your spam?" But, like, there's a lot of that going on.
I'll tell you this, man. Just to back up what you just said, for a while, towards the beginning though, for a while, I wasn't getting any delivered emails. So, but I started to get them, after I went to Philly, and even the way that I signed up, they didn't have my email as my login or something like that. They had like my phone number, and I'm like, wait, what? Why is that different? But anyway,
Mhm.
so it's like I understand. I understand what you're saying, right? So, if you are currently having an issue with your account, like he said, I think about 3 times already, please reach out. I put it in
Yeah,
the chat, and I'll put it again. Drive at delivered.io, right?
exactly. Yep.
For
UDM, it's
support.
I don't know when we're going to talk about 2025, and I'm going to say something in a moment that I don't even know when we'll get to do it because there's so many things we want to do. But something that we've kicked around is email. The fact that even like the people who get the emails don't read them because like I'm one of them. I barely read any emails that like come to my personal. And then you got a whole host of other people who for whatever reason don't get them or they get caught up. Can't we do better than email? And so like something we've been kicking around is like almost like our own version of email, but within the driver portal. Like something like a D box or something like that, where like we've got this other option where it's like, hey, maybe we'd still send it an email, but like you'd have this separate inbox, if you will, within the driver portal. I get
Mm-hmm.
nervous saying it because again, we really like that idea actually, but when am I going to do that? I don't know exactly, but we are aware that for a variety of reasons, emails are almost a bit outdated, which is like kind of crazy to think about. But UDM, that's why you have a podcast like this, is
Yeah.
because people want information in different ways than they used to.
Okay. All right. So I have 2 more questions here. Obviously, there's a lot more comments, and I believe there's a lot of people here that they feel like they were wrongfully deactivated. Well, frozen. I'll just use that word for now. All right, they were wrongfully frozen. One in particular, that one black guy says, "I was deactivated for an incident that may have happened March, I guess, for last year. Why would I be deactivated in January 2025?" That's like a
You know,
personal thing. You would want to reach out, right?
yeah, I mean I don't know how to answer that. I mean, like if there was an incident in March, I would assume that you would have gotten your account deactivated in March. So yeah, we'd have to dig into that. Again, my boring answer, email drive at, but that's the only way I'd be able to know the answer
Yeah.
to that.
In order, like, if your question, fam, if your question is related to your account specifically, versus it being general for everyone, like the inactivity type of email, like that's more general. So he could answer that more generally. If it's your account specifically, I recommend reaching out to what we've said. This is about the third time I'm going to put it in the chat is drive at delivered.io, all right, for support, all right? Reach out. And I guess due to the fact that we're having this conversation with Chris at this time, he will probably look out for those emails. Yeah, Chris?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And and also like give the feedback to this. Like I think again in a lot of ways like people just kind of go through their job and sometimes don't always realize like the exact feedback for, so I'm definitely going to express kind of the sentiment from this and that like we
Mhm.
just need to be more mindful to kind of go above and beyond. Like somebody said there, like why not text? Honestly, I don't know. Like I'm not trying to make like any blank like, well, I didn't like, I wasn't personally involved in it, but like that's a great suggestion. Like we totally could have sent out texts. So I think that that's something I can take back to the team.
I got you. All right. So obviously you're getting some feedback from us, right? You're getting some things that um let's just say you're getting many different types of things here, right? You're giving feedback, you're answering questions, you're getting feedback, you're writing them down. Um, it almost feels like it almost feels like we're going in a bit of a circle, right? And I don't want it to feel that way, right? So I know drivers, I know whoever that's here, whoever's watching this, I know you may have your personal feelings about your own experience in your market, right? Miami, Fort Lauderdale is not I don't know, a smaller market. Okay. It's like Miami is considered to be a very busy market on doesn't matter what platform it is, right? So understand that the experience that I may have here is not going to be the same experience you're going to have elsewhere. And Chris also said something that I said in a previous video, when your market is just not producing like that, maybe it's just not a good fit right now. You know, maybe it's just not a good fit right now for you to be on Dlivrd in your market. Maybe they're not busy enough in that market just yet, right? Do you disagree, Chris? I don't think you do,
No,
but
I agree, and I hate to say it. And one just quick anecdote, 'cause I saw now Steve's on here, and he's got a great platform too. And I remember I was on with him one day, and there was a driver who was respectfully complaining. And I looked up his account, and he was in a market that did like the previous week 3 orders the entire week. 3 total orders the entire week. Now you can make the argument, why are we even open there to begin with?
yeah,
But that's a separate. But then, I mean, I feel terrible for this guy, but it's like, how am I even supposed to be a good platform for you if that's the reality of the hand I got dealt? Now, again, we are certainly trying to get more clients. Like I could talk about that, but you nailed it. I mean, markets are so different.
yeah, awesome. All right. Well, with that said, what's to come for Dlivrd in 2025? What should we expect as drivers? Are there any other new changes that's coming that we don't know about?
Yeah, I mean, like some things to like touch on. I mean, like we definitely we need to have kick-ass metrics with regard to our on-time rate. And I think again, people who are on this call probably partner with a ton of different gig apps. Probably plenty of them are partnered with EasyCater as well. And so you've probably seen different emails or different focus. But we collectively, all of us, need to nail our pickup and delivery on time so that partners like EasyCater and others give their customers the best experience possible. So those customers keep tipping and we all like make money. And so something that we're working with EasyCater that's going to actually like change going into Monday, Monday, February 3rd, is going to be changing the delivery and pickup times so that for the delivery, whatever the customer thinks the delivery time is, that's going to be what we're going to start showing the drivers. So this is like a whole deeper thing, but like a lot of times there's been padding on the orders,
Yeah,
padding in 2 ways. Padding so that if the customer ordered it at 12, we're showing 11:45. But then also like a lot of padding that leads to the pickup time sometimes being way too early. And like, why do we have all of these paddings? Insurance policy. This is if the restaurant goes late, if there's traffic, if there's all these things. But what kind of collectively we've found is that there's more negative that comes to this than positive. And yeah, in situations where the restaurant's really late, now we have a path to be on time, but
yeah,
it's really confusing with the customer. And more times than not, our drivers are sitting in the parking lot with hot food in their car for 20 minutes, not trying to get there early. So we're going to be ripping the band-aid off, and there's still going to be a little padding because obviously setups can take 10 to 15 minutes, but it's going to be much more accurate in terms of what that delivery time is and what the pickup time is to facilitate it. And where that is going to be good for like people on this call is that I think it'll be less confusing. I think it'll be less likely, again, that you're sitting in the car with hot food. But
right.
where we are going to have to kind of be, I don't know, more diligent on the delivered end is that we really have to show up for that pickup on time. In today's world, we've almost created a culture where, like, why would you show up to the pickup on time? If you show up on time, you're probably going to be sitting in the parking lot for 20 minutes. And we need to really suck that poison out, and we need to get to a point where if the pickup time says 10 a.m., well, for dang sure you got to be there by 10 a.m. or no later than 10:05,
Right.
because we don't have this padding anymore. Like, we really have to nail it. So we're working on this as we speak. This is already live in some markets. In fact, I think Fort Lauderdale may have already moved to this. I forget now, but going into Monday, everybody is going to be on this new system. We'll have some emails going out about this, but the general idea is like more accurate, more clear, more concise, but also potentially again like more strict. Like in today's world, if you're late to the pickup, a lot of times the order's still on time. That's probably not going to be the case in the future. So we need to really make sure that our driver partners are getting to the pickup on time or communicating with us. So I'd say that's the biggest like focus change that's coming right now, is really kind of doubling down on making sure that we're on time. That should almost be a no-brainer. But like it got just almost too complicated like in the past.
Now
Uh,
I'll tell you, like Lisa just said, like 10 minutes early to pick up pick up time is on time for me. Like I feel the same way. I'm more of a try to be there at least. I'm not saying that, to do what I do, fam. But I try to get ahead of traffic because in South Florida, as you know, both of us, we were just talking about this before
yeah.
we started the live. I was leaving my son's football practice, and both of us were stuck in the same traffic, and we didn't even know it. Right, for 2 hours. Right. The thing about South Florida is you just don't know when, where you have the general traffic, but then the really heavy bumper to bumper, you just don't know when or where, right? So I try to get ahead of the traffic or the possible issues at least 30 minutes in advance. Sometimes I may pull over somewhere close enough to the restaurant so I'm not arriving too early. And another thing that I do, and I'd like to get your feedback on this, Chris, when I arrive, I don't immediately go in with all my bags because I like to see how, like, what they have they set it up as far as like how they packaged it and everything to know what I need before I enter with all my stuff. Sometimes in the past I would go in with all this stuff and I'm like, oh, y'all got it in bags already. You don't need my bags or whatever, right? So I'm like, okay, I go in, I let them know, I ask them, hey, well, I'm here for the order for Chris. It's an easy cater, it's an Olo or whatever, and then uh, I see what I'm picking up. I see how they're packaging it. They ask me if I have my bags. I say, yeah, I have bags. I have it in my vehicle. And once I get all that information, then I proceed. Um, as far as like the pickup process, what's your feedback on that?
Oh, I think it makes a ton of sense.
Okay,
Yeah. No,
simple.
I mean, sometimes too, some restaurants you walk in and they have bags they're giving you. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah.
So it's like a shout out to Pollo Tropical.
Exactly my point.
That's the other day. No, I think that makes a ton of sense. And then beyond that, we the driver app is still a baby. I mean, so we still have a lot of things that we want to bring to the driver app.
Mhm.
We are the big one that we're working on that I'm a little worried in terms of how long it's going to take to get perfect, but we do want to bring those geofence automations back to our app that our old app had. So remember in the old app, it knew when you got to the pickup, it knew when you were leaving, and it would automate things. We
Yeah,
tried to have that in our launch. And UDM, I mean, you talk about like a hard thing to do to have geofencing working across the country, on like a high enough level to feel confident. And it just it wasn't worth we never would have taken the app live, you know what I mean, if we were so focused on that. So that's the biggest reason we got away from it. But we want to bring it back. Like we want the app to have kind of intelligence based on like where you're at. But we also want to do it in a way where if for whatever reason it's wrong, you still have a button where it could take you back a stage, or you have still like some control at your fingertips. But like we've got some beta test drivers and we're just constantly testing this geofence stuff right now.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing I'd say that we're working on. That's the biggest like headline that would come in the future. But other things that we're working on in the app, we've got a partnership. It's already live in our customer service dashboard, but it's not live in our app. But it basically can suggest parking spots and entrances to buildings. So it's
Mm.
kind of a partner. It's like based on like past data. This is especially important again in like a New York City or a market like that. It would suggest where like areas for that building have parked in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be something. A really minor one, but I think would have a big impact would be the ability for you as the driver to write notes about your delivery once you drop it off.
Oh
So
yeah.
something as simple as like, I wasn't able to set it up like that. That's a really super simple one, but like one that we want to get done. And then I've done surveys or talking to drivers. The one page that I kind of hear about the most is the earnings page. That our earnings page could just be easier to use, easier to look at a day, a week, a month, kind of like to interact with. So I think like eventually you'll see some updates there. Nothing revolutionary, but just an easier way to like get the information that you need.
I got you. Now there is something I want to put up on the screen that I forgot to add to our list here. I am
Mm,
gonna switch our screen, but I specifically relish orders, right? Let me get this off of the screen really quick. All right. Relish orders. The thing I have my gripes about relish orders, right? Now here's my gripe. I'm just gonna be upfront here. Is typically you should know what area I'm talking about, right? But these orders are in Boynton Beach, right? They get a lot of relish orders, right? I'm down here in Pines area, right? And the relish orders, even though I know I have control to be able to map where I want to get offers from and all the above, I'm just like, yo, listen, I know these relish orders, they can change, right?
mm,
They can change, they could show as $30, but then after a certain time, it might change to 70, 80, whatever the amount is. And I'm like, why can't they? This is my gripe. And they meaning whoever is placing the order or however this works. I don't know how it works between Dlivrd and the other platform that's receiving the order. But man, it's like, why can't I see how much the total pay would be up front versus me accepting it and then it changes to something else later? But I have to make a decision based off of what I see. And if I'm seeing $30 for Boynton Beach from Pembroke Pines, you know how far that is.
oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like the relish order, I'm like, come on, show me the full pay up front, like you do with all the other ones.
And I think we've got some good things coming here too. So first off, relish. This is definitely another one of these. Like maybe this applies to you, maybe it doesn't, depending on your market. Like
Mhm.
if you were in Boston right now, maybe half the orders you get are relish. If you're in certain markets, maybe there's nothing at all. Relish is basically a type of Easy Cater order. Normally, Easy Cater, you just jump on their website. You want Applebee's. You place your order. Boom. This is more your office is going to provide lunch for the employees, every day, and you work with Easy Cater to be able to offer up a different restaurant each day. And then each morning, all the employees sit down and they get a link and they may place their order, and you end up with it. And
Yeah,
because of that, the order is not finalized until like right before the pickup. Maybe like 90 minutes before the pickup.
that's what I'm
So the way
saying.
that it
Yeah,
sucks. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the part that doesn't suck, I shouldn't say it doesn't suck. Like, I think relish is a really cool idea for like a business trying to like give food to their employees, all of that. But for us and what we do to not know even like how big the order is going to be until like an hour ahead of time, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So again, like looking under, just talking real talk, like how did we get to this point? When we get the order, it comes in with like an estimation of what they think that the final like subtotal and tip will be. I don't want to say bad things about my best client, but I think they would say the same. The estimations were not good enough and they were leading to a lot of inaccuracies. And so what you ended up seeing us do was start the orders at the minimum and say, hey, the order is going to be at least 30, and then let it go up like based on like that final state. The
right.
good and bad of it. What we didn't want was starting it at 70 and dropping it to 30. Because first off, like we weren't doing that. Like we were gonna stand behind the 70, but then suddenly we're going bankrupt because of like, because of bad estimation. So we wanted to at least have like, have it start low and go up. And again, off the top of my head, I mean, at least 50% of the time they're going up. Like a lot of them are going up, but I get your point. You want to know up front. I'm talking on and on, but we in ezCater, they on their end have made really great improvements as far as the estimation. And I think we're really close to being able to just roll with their estimate. And at least in that case, I still think there would be final changes. It would still might go up a few bucks, but I think it would be more likely that if that 30 that you got always ends up being 70, I think it's a lot more likely you're going to see it start at 70 like really soon.
Okay. All right. That was just a little gripe. Don't get me wrong now. If I already had something up on that end, I just might take a relish order then as an additional, right? But
I
starting out the gate, nah.
anytime you take an order, you're taking a risk a little bit. And what I mean in terms of a risk, like I know it doesn't happen often, but the driver could hand you 20 bucks when you get there, or they could call ezCater and make an adjustment after. Like, so there's always a little bit of a risk, but people don't like taking risks with their money. So like, like I know what you mean for sure. And I think we're really close to being able to rip that band-aid off. And again, it still could go up, but at least like kind of starting in a more realistic point.
Yeah, I understand, man. Let me. I guess I don't know if anyone have any additional questions. There are some questions here. One is more of a statement, and another is a question. So well, actually three. Here's the first one right here by Bubba Sue. How can we sign up to become a rescue driver?
Rescue driver is not like an official thing. So I'm assuming like what that means is like if an order gets bailed last minute, like becoming one of those drivers that like gets reached out to. It's truly like when an order bails or an order gets released, it's still our computer. It's still Frederick. That's the first kind of line of defense. And so in that regard, I'd say like anybody is a potential rescue reorder. But for sure, our manual team, if their back's up against the wall, like they're going to reach out to drivers that like for whatever reason they know their name. Like they've helped them before, they've trusted them. And so I think like really my best advice would be maybe just send a message and or again even reach out to Drive and just say, hey, I really love the platform. But I guess where I'm going with it is there's not being a rescue driver is not an official thing.
Yeah, I got you. So what about the available? Sending a text saying available.
That is helpful because like that actually doesn't do anything automated, but that does give our dispatchers kind of like a view of the drivers who have said that today. So I will say that actually is a good idea in terms of like if they were say, hey, I'm screwed on this order and I don't even know any drivers to send it to, they would definitely like look at that, and that is definitely a way to kind of like raise your hand.
Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. So this is the statement here, right? John Perez says, I am partnered with other catering apps that are paying more than 20 to 30 bucks per gig for the same time slot. I'd be losing money by taking delivered orders I'm being sent.
I mean, I understand. I mean, you'd be crazy if they're sending you 20 to 30 more, you'd be crazy not to take it. Again, like on our end, it is our job, our priority to try to get orders up, educate our clients on why tipping's important, like find clients who don't tip split and give all the tips to the driver. But all that said, like, I mean, if you have somebody else paying you $30 more, I mean, like, you take it. And I don't say that to be flippant. Like, you got to do what you got to do.
All right. And this is one of the last questions. Okay. All right, Chris, when this is from Rideshare Rodeo, when you bring geofencing back and someone is too early to pick up or delivery, if driver leaves because too, huh? If driver leaves because too early, but comes back, will that raise flags for Frederick?
Okay, so I think like thinking out loud here. So let's say you showed up to the pickup really early because you were doing something else. I don't know. They're next door to the gas station, and then you
Okay.
left the geofence. Our app would probably think you just picked up the order and you're leaving with the food, but you really didn't. There would be. This is where I was saying there'd be kind of like a pop up that would like allow you to say like, no, yo, Frederick, like I actually am still picking up the food. So I think what he's saying is sometimes you enter and exit a geofence, and that doesn't mean that you actually picked up the food. There will be kind of, again, this is why I think this is going to take us a while to like get this feature right, but there will be a way to essentially revert back to your previous status.
All right, cool. All right. We have John Mitchell asks, does Dlivrd take into consideration the mileage of the driver to the restaurant?
No. So, I mean, with regard to like mileage pay, that's between the restaurant and the customer. And then with regard to mileage, driver to restaurant, we used to, in that, like going back in time, Frederick used to really focus on who was the closest driver to the order at that moment with the assignments, and that's how it used to break the tie. And there's a lot that is right about that, but we did get away from that above all because we're not on demand. And so like, yeah, you might be closer to the restaurant today, but we've got a whole pool of drivers. We want them to be able to draw on the map where they want orders and then kind of go from there. And when we moved over more to the map, that really helped some drivers in terms of if you lived far away, you almost had no chance to get an order on our platform. Like even if you were a great driver, like you had to do the thing where you came in, went off duty, all of that.
Yeah.
So this really made that more fair for a driver like that. But it made it like if you lived right next door to Applebee's, and Applebee's is the busiest restaurant in town, you certainly are less likely to get those now. I will say, like, we made that change within Frederick, but that's not what we want either. I mean, what I really want Frederick to do, and I'm not ashamed to say this, is analyze the driver's ability to get an order on time and accurate to the customer. And if one driver is more on time than another, and again, stripping out the restaurant was late or these things, but like ultimately if one driver is on time more consistently than another, that is kind of how I would want the tie to be broken. But we're not there either yet, because if I do that, I want to do it in a transparent way where you've got a scorecard where you see things in the app where it's like really transparent. So again, like right now we really are leaning on that map being drawn and like your driver profile in terms of how many bags you have, what type of car to really decide the order. But I think we can do better.
Okay. I have, I'm going to put this last one up here because it's funny to me, right? I like the question, but I just want to just ask, then this will be the very last, okay? But I'll put this frog show up. Can we take Frederick out for a few drinks and discuss the order assignment?
You are not the first person to say that. I mean, Frederick's getting wined and dined. That's for sure. And I mean, is Frederick perfect? Like, not at all. I mean, it doesn't. It's not. It. We. I know that we can do better. And again, I think we will. And I should get away. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think that like we have tons of orders going through the platform, and most of them you never even think about. They kind of take care of themselves, and like everything's good. But it's those outliers that really like I think we still need to really like tighten up. But again, like I didn't even talk about, I mean, 2025 goals. I talked about the app just really quick. The driver portal, we launched that about a year ago, or I don't know, 9 months ago. We haven't really added a single thing to it since then. We definitely want to go back to the driver portal and really improve some things there as well. And the biggest thing that I would say that I do think you'll see at some point this year, if you got a ticket on our platform, like our system thinks you were really late, our system thinks you did this or that. Right now, we might send you an email about it, or if it's bad enough, we'll call you. You should be able to see it right in the driver portal. You should be able to dispute it if you think it's wrong. Like you should see it right there. And
Yeah.
ultimately, all of that should have some sort of like, I don't know, like score, if you will, kind of similar to what DoorDash does, like something that shows like, what the system thinks of your account right now. And I think again, the driver portal was a really big step in the right direction, but we can be much more transparent. And like, I'm not full of shit. I want to be transparent because like UDM, if I think your profile sucks, I want you to know it, because then you'll either get better to get more orders or you'll
Yeah.
leave. And like, it's stupid of us not to be transparent. And again, like, why haven't we been? Because we like the driver app's kind of new, the driver portal's new, like all these things used to be all over the place, and now that we actually have it in house, we can like add more and more to it. So I'm rambling, but I would say that the driver portal, like we're definitely have plans to like add more visibility into like what's going on within your profile.
Now, all right. So I don't want to keep saying this is the last question. This is the last question. This is the last question. But officially, I know there's gonna be questions about Emerald Elite. How do I get on Emerald Elite? And all of these different things, right? Like Lisa wants to know about Emerald Elite, but I already know that there's been many conversations about Emerald Elite with the town halls and different things like that, right? So it's like, I know it's supposed to, it's something that you gotta be the best in your market, right? To some extent, right? Let's just keep it simple. I know many drivers want to get priority and getting these offers first, but sometimes just based on availability for offers in your market, I just doubt it that you will get Emerald Elite unless your market is booming like that, and you can then take more orders, and then for things to really be booming and you know it's more of a challenge in a slower market than it is in a more difficult market or more busy market. And if they already have Emerald Elite, this is just a comment by the way, not really a question, but if they already have Emerald Elite drivers that love that position in a busy market, it's going to be more difficult to get Emerald Elite because they're going to keep on doing what they're supposed to keep Emerald Elite, right? So here's one more, the last question. This is from me. I just thought about this with the map and everything. I just want to ask you, Chris, if someone edits their app, edits their map for a specific area versus a person that does not edit at all. We're not talking about Emerald Elite or anything like that. Does that give that driver that edited that specific area a level of priority because their area is so targeted versus the driver that's more general? Or is it still a bit of a tiered system and who's closest type of deal?
So a lot to that. To your last question though, no, if you do a targeted area, that does not necessarily make you more likely for that order in that area directly at least. What it does more specifically is says, don't consider me for the rest of these areas.
Mm,
So in that regard, you don't have to worry about getting like the system's only going to send you one order at a time. So I mean, like in that regard, like it's not going to be like if you're getting an order somewhere else, it's kind of blocking you from that internal, but it doesn't necessarily make you more of a priority in that area. It's more saying don't waste my time with kind of like these like outskirts. Emerald, first off, it's really funny that you all keep picking on Lisa. Believe me, I know that Lisa's gunning for Emerald. I know she's in Syracuse. I know how many orders she's done. Like Lisa's like, that Lisa's a perfect example. I have drivers I love who aren't Emerald. I mean, there's a lot more, and I've got some Emeralds who drive me nuts. But Lisa's a really good driver. We need to do better, and the part that we need to do better is like, yeah, I stand behind the Emerald program in that I want great orders to go to the most reliable drivers. Like that is, I hate to be nasty, but that is like that butters my bread in terms of like making sure that the orders are handled by the people that I trust most. But it is very clear that in a market where it takes hundreds of orders to get there, it can be demotivating if
yeah.
you don't think you have a path to get there. And I don't know exactly. People are talking about Charlie. This is actually now in Charlie's boat a little bit to help us kind of come up with some things because not all the tiers can be more orders. I mean, some of them might be swag, some of them might be other things, but I know that everybody should always have something realistic to strive for,
Yeah.
and we need to do better on that.
All right. Well, listen, we've run out of time, fam. I try to get as many questions in as possible. This guy right here, very busy. Okay. So we got to show him some level of appreciation for answering the questions that he was able to answer. I wish we had more questions that we could get up on the screen. If I did not get to your question, trust me, it's not because I didn't want to put it on the screen. It's mainly because it's like I don't want it to only be specific people getting their questions answered. I'm trying to get everybody some variety, to get a question answered. So if you have any additional questions, please, he said it a few times and I'm going to say it a couple more. Reach out to drive at dlivrd.io. Okay. Drive. I'll put it in the chat one last time. Drive, not driver, right? Just drive.
Yeah, drive.
Okay. At dlivrd.io. I know some of you will say, man, it's so frustrating. I'm not getting someone to respond to me, or send them another damn email. Okay. Just send them another email, send them, maybe it's going to spam. And another thing that you mentioned, Chris, that I appreciate you mentioning is sometimes when we get a bunch of emails, or sometimes we don't even realize it. I know with my iPhone, I can just hit unsubscribe from the actual inbox versus going to a website or anything like that. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please check your phone. I don't even know how to resubscribe, but if you're not getting emails from Dlivrd, that could be an issue, right? And I also stated that I, at one point, was not getting emails from Dlivrd, but then something got fixed somewhere, and then I started getting Dlivrd emails. If you're not getting emails from Dlivrd, I recommend reaching out to them as soon as possible, just to make sure your account is in the clear. And take that into consideration that you hit unsubscribe years ago for whatever the reason. Maybe because the offers were 40 miles away, years ago, and you didn't want to get any more emails from them. I don't know, right? Whatever it may have been, just take that in consideration, okay? So moving forward, I try to get as many questions answered. Chris, thank you, brother. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. I know you're busy, and I thank you one more time. Thank you to the team at Dlivrd for just being so open and honest and transparent with us to get questions answered and all the new releases. I can't wait to see what else y'all have in store for us. Any last words for the fam before we wrap up here?
No, I mean, thank you, UDM. Thank you. I'll just stop there.
Fam, with that said, just give a hand clap for Chris. Put it in the chat right now. We appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you. Okay. And don't think that I forgot the last episode that we did. We said we're going to meet up, and I don't know. I eat fruits and vegetables. So it's like, we're going to have to meet up somewhere.
I need something for my hummus.
All right. Salute to you, bro.
Yeah, man. No, I'll talk to you soon, UDM. We definitely should find something. Here we go, some broccoli.
All right, brother. Well, you have a good one, okay?
All right, thanks.
All right, no problem. All right, so with that said, fam, again, I try to get as many questions in as possible. I did make a post on the other channel to let people know, like, hey, we're gonna have somebody on, and I know not many people engage with it, but I'm trying to get answers to y'all questions. I know there was Emerald Elite questions and the inactivity questions. I hope that you were able to get the answers you were seeking. Obviously, this is not a normal time that we have any kind of live stream on the podcast channel, but every now and then we will be trying to get someone on. Okay, so right now I'm trying to get someone from Dlivrd That. Okay, at this moment, because Josh won't let me not hear it. Okay, Josh, until I get someone on from Dlivrd That, Josh will be a pain in my ass. Okay, so again, this live stream will remain up. I will not privatize it at all. If you want to rewind it, hear some other things, take some notes. Maybe you may have missed something. Maybe you were working. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's going to remain up, fam. Shout out to every last one of you that was able to attend. If you were not able to attend, I'm not going to promise that if you leave a comment that Chris or anyone from Dlivrd will be able to respond, because majority of those questions were supposed to be answered while he was here. But I'll do my best to answer them as best as I can. And if I just respond with drive@dlivrd.io, just reach out. Okay? So with that said, dang, look at you. Y'all just came in. Candy, I wanted to hear this. I just got on my lunch. Sorry. Sorry, Candy. But now I have 50 minutes to get to my catering order. So fam, be easy. Get to work. Do what you got to do. Take a break, whatever you're doing, and just rewind, Candy, and just listen to it, okay? It was a lot of information. It was fast-paced, I would like to believe. Be safe on the road, fam, and I got to head out of here. Have a good one. Deuces.